Boom.
Well, welcome to another episode of the Growth Pods.
Episode 1.
Episode 1.
I'm Ed.
And I'm Sahib. Wait, you tried to... I go first.
And this is the Growth Pod. We are Growth Studio, or two very small parts of it. Team of 20-ish.
Yep, we're a large team, as you kind of know from the first episode. We are spread everywhere.
Costa Rica, Brazil, London.
Basically, you know, any country
America.
you can think of, we will be there. You just think of it, we'll be there.
In time, anyway.
In time. Growth Studio. So, Ed, today, what are we talking about?
NFTs, non-fungible tokens. As we touched on last time, Gartner have put them close to the top of the hype cycle, which is fair enough. It's been pretty crazy. Some of the money that's been exchanging hands for the Beeple, the first one, and then Grey Rocks and Bored Apes and punks, crypto punks. Yeah, it's phenomenal. I think there's a lot of rich crypto teenagers that can't quite get their money out of the system, so they're spunking it on stuff. But the scene is going to be way bigger than that.
Yeah, the way that people are kind of comparing NFTs to the real world is the way that people used to invest in watches. You'll then invest in your kind of NFT because that will give you your kind of gateway. Well,
they are doing now, but I think that's a bit short-sighted. Maybe we should roll back a bit and start with what a non-fungible token is. Do you know?
Ed didn't like that. Sad Ed. So yeah, we can start with NFTs for kindergarten.
For dummies, yeah. So non-fungible tokens. If we move back IRL into the real world and think what is fungible, the British pound is pretty fungible. £1 can be swapped for £1 anywhere else. It's the same value. The difference between the two is probably age, but it doesn't make anything meaningful. One's a bit shinier than the others. Really doesn't mean anything. £1 is fungible with another pound.
Are bananas fungible?
No, because they're sold by weight in the supermarket, aren't they? So you can't just swap one random banana for another one.
Okay, cool.
If we go now, what is non-fungible in the real world? I'm a big fan of Picasso, and you can't really swap one Picasso clay pigeon for one large Picasso painting. That makes it non-fungible. So if we then roll forward into the URL, I actually don't know what that means. What does URL mean?
The internet.
Okay, fine. Non-fungible tokens become basically links to interplanetary file sharing systems.
Correct.
So lots of different links that can't be swapped with each other because the creator decides what goes into the link. And what's within one interplanetary file sharing system is going to be very different to what's in the other. It's up to the creator to decide what value goes in there. I think the favorite metaphor I've heard for it is an NFT is an empty bottle, and it's up to the creator or the company to decide what value gets put into the bottle.
So the interplanetary file system is basically like data storage. Is that fair?
That's my understanding across the blockchain.
Okay, cool, nice. So there you go. You got your layers. You got NFT. You got your smart contract, which gives all the details, and then you got your data layer, which is your IPFS. So
the meme at the moment for NFTs is it's just a link to a JPEG. And that's kind of fair for a lot of these collections. You know, we've seen, as I said, I've seen a picture of a Grey Rock go for $1.2 million. Lunacy. I don't see the value there. I've got better things to spend my money on.
Exactly.
Like an umbrella in London.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Well, anyway, but I think this hype is detracting from the capability of the space. So I think we should roll forward and look at some of the use cases for NFTs.
Exactly. So let's start with the whole collectibles space. So collectibles is probably one of the good use cases of NFTs out there, but collectibles have been there since the dawn of time. So if you think about that Babe Ruth tradable card that has so much value, you think now to more recent times of like Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards, like
gotta catch them all.
If you want to get a really shiny Charizard, that little the orange dragon, that's going in close to like the $1 million figure. I think Logan Paul has that, and he had it in his most recent boxing match around his neck, and that's a whole flex. It's a status symbol.
And so so NFTs are going to provide sometimes a digital twin, so you're able to certify whether or not it's the real version of the one in real life, and then their own layer of collectibles at the same time.
Exactly.
The kind of things that we've already talked about.
Yeah, one of the things that Gary Vaynerchuk kind of talks about, and I mean, in terms of logic, framework, he's someone who's charting out what we would say is the right path for what an NFT can really be in the real world. He says that it's like that blue tick that you have on your Twitter or your Instagram. It's a It's that social entry pass to a tribe.
A bit of flex here. We're kind of moving into community tokens here as kind of the second use case for NFTs.
Exactly.
Gary V's group is called V Friends. There's a Bored Ape Yacht Club that kind of have their own space that is gated by this NFT community. There's also CryptoPunks as a community. I think we've seen the likes of Chili's or Socios come out there and create a sports token. So lots of different fans. I think they've pretty much got all of the NBA, loads of Premier League teams, Paris Saint-Germain, Real Madrid.
Yep.
All now have their own token, and ownership of this token gives you some unique rights to what the club is offering. So you can choose the kit, you can choose the music that's played. You've basically just tagged yourself as a really big fan.
So you would play ABBA when Real Madrid walk out in pre-season, because I know you like Dancing Queen.
But yeah,
we shouldn't lie here. We don't lie on the Growth Pod.
These kind of things. I'm all about the money. Sorry. These kind of things, social tokens, are really going to create a new layer beneath equity in, say, the value stack for ownership. That the clubs and entities are going to be able to interact with the people who actually really love these brands and companies and communities, and enrich the environment that you've got there. It's going to become a two-way street between the football club and then millions of fans who don't actually make it to game day every day of the week because the stadium's only so big, or half of their fan base is in China or somewhere else in the world. We can then roll this forward a bit further and say, okay, let's imagine a world where we can pay via digital wallets. I have I think it's Man United sponsored by Adidas, are they?
They are indeed.
So I own the Man United sports token, big football fan as you can tell, and I go to an Adidas and I want to buy a new pair of sneakers or a new pair of tennis shoes. Because I've tagged myself as a Man U fan, I get 20% off in Adidas. This is going to create a whole new layer from which we're able to talk to each other across different systems, and really enrich that experience for both the team, the fan, and any sponsor. We've seen the likes of Visa and MasterCard make huge strides in the NFT space already. That's huge. They're experimenting, but aren't we all?
Yeah, and what Ed's kind of alluded to, going back to the whole water bottle analogy, you're basically filling it with this reward, let's say, for the fan. Now
it's up to the sports teams to keep refilling that reward to make the token worth its while. Exactly. And it's that level of engagement between fan and company that I think is the really exciting part about NFTs. Not the crazy collectibles, but the melding of creator and community.
On the subject of collectibles and the sport piece, there is a company called Dapper Labs, and what they have created is something called NBA Top Shots. What NBA Top Shots does is it couples a in-game moment from the NBA with a specific player, stacked up by like bronze to platinum. I can't remember the exact layering, but essentially it tokenizes an in-game moment. So for example, when LeBron James scored in one of the final matches in the NBA final playoff last season, I know LeBron James, but I didn't know if he scored in the final, but that is an example, and the prices are staggering. Like, to open a pack, you can pay $9. To get that specific LeBron James NFT tokenized moment, you could end up paying like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I think at the time it was 450 grand, but I bet now it's even more. These guys have basically turned the old school sporting card into something that ownership can be verified on the blockchain, and you own that very moment with all of its stats.
Yeah.
Just think about the amount of legacy IP is sat in the NBA ready to be tokenized. How much is that Michael Jordan big hands up thing? That's going to sell for crazy amounts when it gets to that time. If we think about other communities that have loads of legacy IP, the first one I think of is Disney, right? How much would you pay to have a little Buzz Lightyear? Yeah, right.
Yeah. The catalogue of characters. They've been a monster in acquiring, the likes of Marvel, Star Wars rights, and like Ed's saying, imagine you own, I don't know, like a moment from a movie, or what other use cases could you have, Ed?
It's going to be, let's say you own a Woody. It's going to be up to Disney to decide what value goes into Woody. But if you own that Woody, here's a collaboration. You could get a discount at Chick-fil-A or some restaurant like that. That's just those kind of interoperability.
Does Woody
plays.
like Chick-fil-A?
Well, he can do. I mean,
Yeah.
or maybe he's a ribs guy.
Oh, I think he likes his ribs. Maybe some brisket. He looks like a brisket
Yeah,
guy.
great call. Smoker, clearly.
Nice.
So we've kind of really discussed there how NFTs are going to tag communities and the value that it could bring to that community. Shall we have a look now at...
You've forgotten, actually, yeah, I think fashion's next, right?
Correct. It's the one that are kind of using it the most.
Yeah.
It's slow going, and we've seen lots of fashion brands try and do little things.
Shall we name the brands first?
Yeah, go on then.
So we've got Dolce & Gabbana have done
With their trainers.
with their trainers, but they've also done examples of like certain historic items from their collection. They've created like a digital version of it. So for example, there was like the Doge crown, and the Doge isn't that like funky Shiba Inu. It was like a name of a Venetian prince, or the name associated with the Venetian prince back in the day.
It's phenomenal knowledge from you there.
I googled it the other day. You got Gucci have also made a foray into it. Louis Vuitton have.
It's the Louis Vuitton skin, isn't it? And we've just seen Balenciaga.
Exactly.
Say that right?
Yeah,
Cool.
Nice and slow. Wait, shall we pronounce after us? Balenciaga. There we
Trying to be professional.
Oh, God, okay.
They're apparently they're really cool and down with the street kids, and thus they've kind of taken their club scene vibe, put it into Fortnite, and thus you can now run around doing various things in Fortnite.
Yeah, and the crates. So this is the cool thing with Balenciaga. Maybe this is what we could see in the. There we go. Yeah.
You take it away.
You drummed the two drums. Oh wait, there we go. That's the hand.
You drum like they've created a line in the real world as well as in. So you buy
it in the digital world.
You can redeem it.
You can redeem it in the physical world, but as the digital owner, you are the only person who can redeem that physical item, which adds.
So digital IOU then. That's what the bottle is filled with a digital IOU and something that you can run around Fortnite with.
Exactly. There is. Maybe this is something we'll cover at another point, and you know I love this topic. This NFT piece is rife with gamification, and I think it's something we will explore because gamification is everywhere.
Yeah, as soon as Sahib's done his little lecture on gamification, you won't stop seeing it. Just the get 10 coffees and get one free. That is pure gamification. A really strong method that just keeps you coming back for 10% off a coffee. I think we can all afford. We don't need that free coffee, do we? But let's talk about Clinique, because I think they've been the first brand that we've seen that have done a really good job of pairing that gamification with NFTs, right? They've come out and said the more you spend in our Clinique ecosystem, the better your NFT will get. We've seen loads of other brands come out with skins in Fortnite or one-time hits, a pair of shoes that you can't really do much with. But to actually see that your digital identity is going to improve with the more that you spend in their real world ecosystem, now we're getting there, right? We're seeing NFTs times gamification.
Exactly. And continuing on from what Clinique have done, the likes of NARS, who are owned by Shiseido, they predominantly do like lipsticks and like eyeshadow, which we both like to use in our spare time. Just saying, it's good products. What they've done is they worked with like Nina Kraviz, who's a DJ, to create digital art, but then a very specific basket of products which you, as the owner of that NFT, are entitled to. So I think it's a series of their lipsticks and other products.
Again, the perks you get from owning the NFT.
Exactly.
Cool.
And later on down the line, when they release these new products, you are entitled to be one of the first people.
It's just creating a whole new layer of value for a bunch of stakeholders within the full stack of value.
Exactly.
We're nearly at the end here, and we've not even talked about the royalty aspect of NFTs and music. I think that's going to be saved for another pod. And it's not just music, it's going to be video, it's going to be journalism, in my opinion. But do you have anything to add on what we've covered there?
I think just because we've covered a lot, what would you say are then the main things that we want people to kind of know about NFTs?
It's not about the collectible hype. When things are at the top of their Gartner hype cycle, they tend to be at the bottom of their value cycle. And from this moment, sure, hype goes down, but value for the consumer from here is only going to go up. And I think if you're not paying attention to the value that tagging your community with something that can get better, the more that you spend within that ecosystem, you're going to be toast, I think.
Yeah.
Especially as I believe marketing and branding is going to become so more important as we realize that 10 times as many people are going to see us in a digital space versus in real life. It's really going to matter what your digital identity looks like. And if I've got those cool sneakers that I bought last summer in an NFT version on my avatar,
you'll be toast. Ed's spoken, you'll be toast.
Okay.
Thanks
enough.
for joining.
Cheers, I'm Ed.
I'm Sahib.
And this was the Growth Pod.
See you later.
You put the fun
in fungible.